Hey folks, this is Dan, and this is Letters for Now. Today I want to sit with something that's been circling my mind for a while. It's an idea that feels simple, almost obvious on the surface. But the more I follow it, the more it tugs at the roots of how we're living. It's this: a person's needs are not just personal problems to be solved. They're actually invitations, avenues, by which we're drawn toward one another. They're the subtle, constant threads that pull us into relationship, into contact, into the ancient and ordinary dance of giving and receiving. We are apparently built to need. We are very needy, not just needing to survive, but to belong. And yet, in the world as we've made it, efficient and digital and endlessly convenient, we keep stripping the relational part out of the equation. We transact for things. We swipe and click and pay and receive. Needs become transactions, and what's lost is the reason we had needs in the first place. Think about it. Almost every human need, hunger, safety, comfort, encouragement, touch, understanding, could, in a different era, only be met through other people. You needed bread? You spoke to the baker. You needed help? You asked your neighbor. You needed warmth? You gathered at the fire with someone else. Each need was an opening, a spark that made relationship possible. But now so many of our needs are met in isolation. Groceries arrive on the porch without a face attached. We stream comfort instead of sharing stories in the dark. We Google our questions instead of asking a friend or an elder. We outsource and automate, swipe, and more we get what we want, without having to risk the messiness, the vulnerability, or the beauty of real connection. I don't think this is just nostalgia talking. I think there's something essential that's starving in us, quietly, when every need is met by a system instead of a person. Because needs aren't just obstacles on the path to a better day. They're the way the world, and maybe nature itself, draws us out of ourselves. My hunger is not just about food, but about breaking bread together. Companion. My longing isn't just for comfort, but for the feeling of being seen, being held, and being known. When we transact for everything, we lose the slow, strange magic of interdependence. We become self-sufficient, maybe, but we also become untethered. And we miss out on the small, awkward, luminous moments that used to be baked into daily life. The eye contact, the waiting, the thank you, the how have you been? The gift and return, even if the return comes much later, never comes at all. There's a phrase I read once that said, we are each other's harvest. That's it. We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. I think that was Gwendolyn Brooks. And if I'm right, I think she's right. Our needs, though they often feel like burdens, are actually one of the main ways we belong to each other. And still, I find myself, maybe you do too, hesitant to need anything from anyone. I don't want to impose. I don't want to be seen as needy or weak or inconvenient. So I transact. I keep moving. I keep efficient. And sometimes, afterward, I feel emptier than I did before. Because what if our needs are really secret invitations? What if they're little notes tucked into the day, reminding us that it's okay to reach and to ask, to rely, to make space for someone else to answer? What if every time we meet a need alone, we're missing a chance, not just to receive, but to be in the company of another human soul, even for a moment? And what if when we do answer someone else's need, not as a job, not for pay, not out of obligation, but as a gift, we're returning to an older, truer way of being alive? I'm not saying we should abandon convenience. I'm grateful for all the ways modern life lets us meet needs that would have been crushing in the past. But I am saying that the most satisfying moments in my life, the ones I remember and feel nourished by, almost always involve another person. A kindness offered, or a vulnerability shared, or a need met not by an algorithm, but by a hand, or a voice, or a presence. So maybe the next time a need comes up, big or small, I can pause. And before I reach for the quickest solution, I'll ask, is there a way to let me be, or is there a way to let this be an invitation? I like that idea of me being the invitation, though. Is there a way to let me be this invitation? Is there a way to let this be its own invitation? A chance to connect and to ask, to be with, and to let someone else in. Or to answer a need that comes my way. Not as a transaction, but as an act of quiet care. Maybe our needs are the gentle daily reminders that we're still miraculously meant for each other. Thanks for listening. If this resonates, I hope you'll share a need or meet a need out loud or in person or with someone you care about. That's where the nourishment lives. So until next time, I'm Dan, and this has been Letters for Now.